Oh, hey friends, welcome to the vibes.
That was so good. That was so.
We vibing out, always vibing out to something, and you know we're gonna hit y'all over the head with some hitters from various forms of media.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's get right to it, bro. What you got for the honorable mention?
Fire Inside came out on Christmas Day. It's a good movie.
Is it really?
It's a good movie.
That joint look mad cheesy to me. I ain't gonna hold you, but
It is
I'll,
PG
I'll
13.
take your word for it. Okay.
It is PG 13, and I usually have like a little bit of a critical eye to PG. Like,
Yeah,
I know they're gonna pull some punches. Get it,
yeah, yeah,
punches, Fire
yeah.
Inside.
Okay.
But but it's an hour and 50 minutes. Another
Wow.
barometer that I have is if a movie is an
Hour and
hour and a
50 minutes.
half or shorter, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, it's not a good movie. It's gonna be it's probably not a good movie. Probably.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna say probably. Do we have some classics out there that were hour and a half back in the day? But these
Mm-hmm.
days, if it's less than an hour and a half, they're cutting
Yeah, you
corners
might.
left and right.
Yeah, yeah. I think you have a point there.
So
Yeah.
Ryan Destiny delivers a compelling performance as Clarissa Shields,
Mm-hmm.
and Brian Tyree Henry co-stars as Jason Crutchfield. Remember, you might recognize him as Paperboy from that show Atlanta.
Mm.
Um, I think this movie is pretty good.
Hmm.
I think the two leads gave like outstanding performances.
Okay.
So I would recommend people checking that out. And it's a wholesome family kind of thing. Everybody can watch. It's PG-13, you know.
Mm.
Um, and now that I'm looking back at it, there's not much event. There's not much that happens in the story where or an R rating could have popped. It's not like they really like left something out that could have been R rated that would have
Mm-hmm.
made the movie better. No,
Mm.
it's just like no, it's fine. It's fine what it is. Maybe they could have been like maybe there would have been like a love scene that was like really not part of her story.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But that was like a side thing, but then like it would have been worth it. You know what I mean? It would have took away from the essence of the movie. So I
Mm-hmm.
recommend checking out Fire Inside. It's probably still in theaters. It came out on Christmas Day. But if not, it should be out and streaming soon. Shout out to Clarissa Shields. And as soon as after that, I actually ended up seeing her in an MMA fight. She's doing
Yeah.
MMA now.
Yeah. 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 She said that she wanted to because she's attained quite a bit of glory in boxing. I mean,
Hmm.
been very successful at that. Yeah, and she said she wanted to get to MMA. So shout out to her. I mean, she's doing her thing.
Yeah, she's doing a thing there. Also honorable mention, we have the Golden Globes. You know, it's
Mhm.
award season, beginning of the year. The
Of
Golden
course.
Globes happened already, and we have for me, I like to go to see what they're nominated and what's winning because it sometimes I'll be like, what do I want to watch? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like on
Hmm.
TV, on these streaming things.
Hmm.
And this is kind of a little bit of a shortcut for me. So I keep an eye out for these. And I know definitely I want to go watch The Brutalist. This is one is it won the drama for most the drama for motion the motion picture drama. And it also has the actor also won Best Actor in a Drama.
Hmm.
This is Adrian Brody, and you know he's already a great actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I see that he gave a great performance to get him this award, and
Hmm.
the movie itself was nominated as well, I'm like I gotta check this movie out.
You know, everybody and mama got nominated from this joint. Though.
You know what I'm saying? It's like all over
They,
this list,
yeah,
right?
yeah, all over. Yeah, they actually won best actor, actress, supporting actress.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that,
I
that whole
think
joint
that
was
movie
crazy.
might be lit. So I need to go check it out.
Mm.
What'd you notice from the list that stuck out to you?
As far as film,
Well, I mean, what else is on here?
okay, so so I'm also looking at television series,
Okay.
right? You remember when I was trying to tell you about this show from the very beginning, Shogun. You remember when I told
Uh,
you? You remember when I told you from the very beginning? I said,
uh,
"Darn, I'm telling you, this show is
is
gonna be
it is
nominated."
lit. Yeah.
I told you it was lit.
Hmm.
You saw it. You thought it
For
was pretty
sure.
good.
Yeah, yeah, I liked it. I
And
enjoyed it. Yeah.
then I was trying to tell. I was telling people a year ago. I was like, "Yo, this show
Nah,
is
it's
gonna
just they put
win."
so much money in the production, bro. Like
Oh
it
yeah,
should be
it's
like,
man, it went. And
hmm
then one of my favorite Japanese actors is in there. What's I can't pronounce his name.
Is it
but
Hiroki Sanada?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's like one of my favorite Japanese actors. But like I just knew, like I was like, bro,
Hiroyuki, I think
is
it
Hiroyuki is what it
Hiroyuki.
is?
Yeah.
Okay. I just knew that just from everything, like the shows, like you mentioned, production was immaculate. I mean, I
Yeah.
was like, when I saw the show, I was like, oh my god, Hulu got one. I was like, Hulu got one.
Yep.
Hulu got one. And you know what it kind of gave me. You know what the feel that it gave me, as far as production wise and like writing, it gave me the same feel that Slow Horses gave me. Like
Slow horses? I wouldn't have said that one.
it's I'm looking at it from like a like I guess the genius of the writing from the
So,
writing
so it's
perspective.
really good writing. I can kind of see a little bit because so the thing is with Slow Horses is that it's
Mm,
a British comedy
mhm.
and the jokes are really like
Yeah,
subtext, you know
yeah,
what I mean, kind of thing.
because people don't respect writing when it comes to comedy. That's the thing. Like they don't get the
Right.
same respect. So I see what you're saying, but I'm
Exactly.
like,
So
y'all
in
gotta
Shogun,
understand.
when you watch it, there's a lot of little sneaky things that they do underneath the
Yeah.
dialogue to
Hmm.
like insert a little bit of like comedy in there.
Hmm.
The Bear does this too as a show. It gets nominated, wins for like best comedy in series, but like
Yeah. Yeah.
there's hardly any jokes in that joint. But
Hmm.
I feel you. I feel you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Joke overall, it's a good show. It was you know, and it won.
Yeah.
What else was on here? The Penguin.
The penguin.
The
Listen,
Penguin boy,
I keep
Colin Farrell.
I keep telling people about the penguin. I'm
Colin
like, yo, the
Farrell.
penguin is like that. I'm
Hmm.
telling you.
Yep.
You know what's the hard you know what was the hardest thing about like trying to convince people to watch the penguin? They're like, it's just another Batman show. It's like, it's not.
It's not. It's a
It's
whole like,
not.
bro. What DC, what
It's not.
DC is doing with building up they bad guys
Finally they doing
with
it.
the,
Well,
but nobody,
outside
but
of
Marvel
Bane
doesn't do
and
this.
yeah, outside of
But
Bane
no,
and
but I mean
like
like in terms of like giving us an actual shows and like, but I mean we know the bad guys, but
mhm,
they're always just kind of like throwaways because we're focused on Batman. We're
mhm.
focused on
Oh, you mean like the whole
Green
the
Lantern.
profiling of the oh,
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
profiling. We're
Yes,
focused on
legit
like
profiling the back. Okay, okay, I got you.
Superman. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
Like imagine like a show that really dives into Luther. You know
Yo,
what I'm saying?
that would be that would
It's
be
like they're
fire.
really just like
That would
focusing on him.
yeah, that would be fire.
Yeah.
That would be fire. Like that's
Low
because
key, and like his, it's like
man,
it'd be like a Vegeta series, like Vegeta, but just like all but
yeah,
from Vegeta trying to catch
yeah,
Goku, like from like always from Vegeta's perspective,
for
is
sure,
Luther and Superman.
for
You know what
sure.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
Just like always, just
yeah.
like the work that he goes through. It's
Mhm.
almost like we would see Cobra Kai. It's Cobra Kai.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll be Cobra
Cobra
Kai.
Kai's been doing pretty well too, especially with like
Yep.
how they create like a universe there too.
Yeah.
There's
So
there's a new one coming out, a new Karate Kid coming out.
a new Karate Kid movie.
Yeah, there's a new Karate Kid. There's a new Karate Kid
Okay,
movie
I
coming
didn't. I
out.
don't know the Karate Kid
Yeah,
movie coming out.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I know you don't like seeing trailers, but there's a new one coming out, and
Oh, good.
it's
Good to know. I'll
yeah,
put that on
just
the radar.
yeah, yeah. Just
But
keep
those are some highlights from the Golden Globes.
yeah.
And so something for you to check out if you haven't checked out those shows that we just talked about.
Mhm.
Press rewind. But before you do that, hit the like and subscribe button.
Absolutely.
And because we did put you up on game and
Yep.
some good recommendations here.
Mhm.
All right. So first album up in our review is I mean I guess you could call it oldie. Now an oldie but a goodie
Fire,
is a 2018 album from your
fire,
boy Nipsey Hussle, Victory Lap.
fire.
It received widespread critical acclaim when it was released, and it actually got nominated in 2019 for Best Rap Album.
It should have won. That's crazy.
It
I
probably
didn't
should
win.
have. It probably should have won. I fell in love with this album when I first heard it.
Mhm.
It's one of those zero skip albums.
Yeah.
It's one of those zero skip albums, and it's undeniable.
Mhm.
It will go down as one of the all time classic rap albums. I don't know if
Yeah.
I waver on occasion like is it top 10 rap albums of all time or is it top 20?
Mm,
But it's definitely not after 20 of greatest rap albums of all time. One of the things that I like
that's
criticized
tough.
Biggie about is that he
The lack of a
people like, oh,
catalog.
greatest rapper, yeah, the catalog,
Yeah, he's one. Yeah.
so it's like Nipsey's like, he doesn't have the catalog, but like the album was just so amazing.
But what's different though? This is what different about Nipsey though. Nipsey went crazy on the mixtape scene though. So
Yeah.
he has so his catalog, his majority of his catalog is the mixtape scene, like EPs, stuff like that. But actual albums, like you're talking about, yeah, he It just it took
That's
him a
what
while.
really
Yeah,
counts, you know what I mean, when
yeah, that's what really
in
counts at the
those
end of the day.
conversations,
Yeah, yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? So but what the mixtapes help do is, like, you know, it helps keeps his legacy alive,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Because of that.
yeah.
So he's a great example of mixing in like the old school vibe of hip
Mm,
hop with like the new school
yeah.
era of like way of rapping and putting on, like, particularly like we talking about the chains and
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
pageantry of it, right?
yeah. Mm.
His productions have always been, they're just like lush, cinematic,
Oh yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah. Yeah. He had an eye for that type of
Yeah,
stuff. You're right.
Victory Lap is not just an album. It was a
Yeah.
statement of who he was becoming and
Hmm.
what his like mindset was in terms of
Yeah.
like rebuilding his, buying back the block kind of
Hmm.
thing, right?
Hmm.
Um,
He was
and
really
you
on that
know,
type of time for real.
unfortunately, his yeah, he was really about that type of time, and
Yeah.
the album spoke to it,
Yeah.
right? The
Hmm.
soundscape created in it,
Hmm.
and like just like embedded into it, and amongst in the lyrics involved, and just like putting the game out there. It was almost like a 444 almost,
Mm.
you know.
It would have been it would have been like how Ye and Jay had Watch
Watch
the
the
Throne,
Throne.
bro. I think it would have been a Nipsey and a Kendrick. That would have been
Boy, that would have been crazy.
that would have been
Or no,
insane,
you know,
insane.
actually, that would have been nice.
Mm.
But I think a Nipsey and a Schoolboy Q, I would want that album.
I see,
I
I
would want
see,
that album
I see where
more
you going
than
with that.
but you know
Ah, that's
what,
interesting. Yeah,
low key,
yeah.
maybe even but no, but like, but we know there's one of the tracks on. He's got a track with Kendrick on there, and it sounds
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I'm talking
But
about like an album. I think they probably
yeah, I
would
know
have.
what you're talking about. I know,
I
like
think that's
Watch the
something
Throne
that
thing.
probably would have been a thing.
Buddy,
Yeah.
who is also featured on here, that actually might be, you know, an amazing album. Probably before I would pick. We had Buddy. We featured Buddy, I think, last season on with
Mm,
his album there. What
mm,
was it last season? Probably a bit earlier this season.
mm.
But it's an amazing album. Great features on there. Even today, 7 years later, um, it's a powerful listen,
Yeah.
and it's still no skips on there.
Mm,
R.I.P. Nip. I would recommend folks check out, if you haven't heard the album, if you thought you was under a rock somewhere, you
yeah.
know, and but you're not into like maybe West Coast rap, whatever it is. If you're new
Mm,
to it, I would recommend starting off with Hustle and Motivate. That's my favorite.
mm,
One, not my, but it's a really good representation. It has a
mm.
sample from Little Orphan Annie. It's a hard knock life
Yeah.
for us. It's just sampling
Yeah. Tough
the
little
thing
sample.
there. But like, man, that beat is so tough.
Actually, you know what's crazy?
That
This
beat
and
is
this is
so
gonna sound
tough.
so cliche. Actually, my favorite track on that is actually Victory Lap.
Try Victory Lap. But
Yeah,
you can't go
yeah,
wrong with either. I'll put it that way.
yeah, yeah. I really enjoyed that track. I think that track definitely embodied the album in itself. So I was like, I
For sure.
see where he showed shots of it. Like he had a video. He was in Tulum. Before Tulum got popping like how it is now. But he was like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, I feel the frequency that you want. I feel it.
When not every time, but oftentimes when I travel,
Hmm.
it's a great time. I play that whole album. Like if I'm on a plane ride and the plane ride is an hour 15, hour and 20 minutes, something like
Hmm.
that,
Hmm.
the album itself is an hour and 5 minutes.
Hmm.
You can play the whole album. And I've
Look,
done it multiple times. Just put it in the car, play the whole album,
yeah,
no skips, and you just go through this journey, and then you're at your actual journey,
yeah.
destination for that.
Quality content for sure.
Quality content,
Hmm.
definitely, definitely. Next up is Michael Kiwanuka. The album is called Small Changes. This was released back in November, actually, 2024. Um, it's a it's a body of work that, imagine soul and indie rock had a baby, right? If Marvin Gaye and
Interesting.
Pink Floyd put an album together, did a collab, it this would be
Mm,
what Michael did on this project. It certainly focuses more on his lyrics, whereas his previous work, lyrics were featured, but like it was a lot of orchestral work, a lot of big thematic, like
mm,
uh theater level music that he was producing
okay.
on those.
Okay.
Whereas this one is more like studio level vocal, um, vocal first,
Hmm.
vocal
Hmm.
leaning
Hmm.
kind of project.
Hmm.
This was this is a shift. It's a little bit more stripped down. Um, Again, like it's a more intimate sound, like you're in the studio. I wonder if I don't know. I'm gonna think on it, but it's like sometimes we have these artists, we want them to expand and do bigger and broader work and introduce new concepts to us.
Mm-hmm.
But he's getting it's more stripped down. So I don't know, I gotta think about it in a second. But like it's co-produced by Danger Mouse. Danger Mouse, you might recognize him from I feel like more like okay, so he actually produced, I think he co-produced. I don't remember if he produced the Gray album. The Gray album is, Jay-Z had the Black album, and
Yes.
then the Beatles had the White album.
Okay.
So this was a fusion of Jay's Jay
Mm-hmm.
rapping over the soundtracks of the Beatles
Mm-hmm.
rock music,
Mm-hmm.
which was it was a dope. I loved it. I actually
Hmm.
loved that
It's
great album
interesting.
because I like the Beatles. I
Yeah.
be like the Beatles, not like Jay Z. Like
Yeah.
that collision course, and also Jay did another crash thing with Linkin Park.
Mm.
So it's dope to see how rap can fuse into those the different genres like that,
Mm-hmm.
and that these people are like blurring the lines and stuff. But like, although this is not rap, this is more soul with this project and small changes.
Mm-hmm.
It finds a comforting spot in the smooth grooves. There's soft drums throughout, kind of like a psychedelic riffs that happen through there. But overall, it's a mellow experience. It's it's a peaceful reflection kind of thing. I think listening to it in headphones is really what the experience would really be heightened. But back to this thing about the is it I think it's growth. I mean, I think something that we challenge these scientists or these mathematicians. I think there's a quote, I don't remember the exact quote, but it's like, or maybe it was Einstein that said like, if you can explain it, you don't really understand the concept unless you can explain it like you're talking to
Yeah.
a 4 year
Talking
old
to a
or
child.
five
Yeah.
year old.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking to a child.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you really understand the concept kind of
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
for him stripping down the music, it's like, but he was so good, he was so great with all this. He could put all these instruments and things together. And
Mm-hmm.
like now it's very like simplified on this album. It's like, but I'm like, this album is so good. It's like maybe that's what it is. He's like, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but he stripped away all the other stuff to like really get the message across, get the art out.
Mm-hmm.
And without all the pageantry. And he was able to, I think he did it.
Mm.
I think he did it. And
Okay.
which is, but it still shows growth. It doesn't show like a degeneration, or it doesn't show like a regression.
Mm-hmm.
It actually like, whoa, I didn't consider viewing you this like cleanly and pure, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It's an amazing album. I recommend checking out Lowdown Part 1 and 2. My favorite thing of all time in these albums, I would say, is these continuous segues.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah. You
Low
have mentioned
Down
that
Part
before.
1, and then there's Low Down Part 2.
Yep.
Perfectly titled because it bleeds right into the each other, and it gives you like a 6 minute track. Again, no skip right there. It's a whole
Mm.
6 minutes of just like taking through a journey in this
Yeah.
in these two songs. So it's a beautiful project. I definitely recommend checking that out.
Okay.
What up, fam? It's Darwin, the guy that was just talking. First off, thanks for watching and supporting the show. But I gotta give y'all some homework. Your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is to interact with the show. That means 1, hitting that like button, because I know you like our stuff. 2, make sure you subscribe so we can swim our way up your timeline whenever we drop new content. The third thing, please share the channel with your friends. Maybe they'll learn a thing about a thing or two. Oh, last thing, we're over here talking about what y'all talking about. So go ahead and carry that conversation on into the comments. We be up in there too.
Next up, we have Sault, Acts of Faith. This is an
Interesting.
album that came out in July 2024, and this is their 11th studio project. This is a collective with Salted, but they have the frequent lead singing woman there. I don't recall her name, but she frequents most of the vocals on Salt projects. As the title suggests, there's an underpinning of religion,
Mm-hmm.
acts of faith.
Mm-hmm.
The album is deeply rooted in the themes of spirituality and faith, seamlessly merging elements of R&B, soul, funk, and gospel. And I know they throw this word gospel in a lot of stylistic sounding tracks that have that kind of background in gospel kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
no, they're legit like, you know, these are Christian songs. These are
Are they?
legit, not all of them, because some of them are just like, you know, more poetic kind of songs kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But
Mm-hmm.
like most of them are like legit Christian hymnal kind of songs.
Mm.
And but they blend in funk and stuff like that, and they make it just sound so like palatable. You
Mm.
wouldn't realize that you're listening to like a prayer, you
Mm.
know.
It's interesting.
Like we go down to let me see if I see the track list here. I look for you, set your spirit free, God will help you heal.
Yeah, I was looking at
Like,
some of the song titles. I was like,
you know what I
interesting.
mean?
Okay.
Soul clean.
Yeah.
These are Pray for Me is the final track on this thing. These are legit Christian songs.
Mm.
But I say that to like really kind of just emphasize like I like music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it slaps, it slaps.
Mm-hmm.
And even listen to music that, you know, I may not understand half of the words they're saying.
Yeah. But if it's a
You
vibe,
know,
it's a vibe.
and so uh, I'm not religious, but like, yo, this is a vibe. These songs are a
Mm.
whole dope experience. Audibly, it's delicious stuff, man. It's
Mm.
got and a solid, it gives you a solid variety of jazz, fusion,
That's dope. That's kind of
silky
cool.
bass led funk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Salt play it has a unique space in contemporary music. They don't they're also not really into, again, maybe it's to their religious adherence. They're not big into the celebrity of it all. This album was a surprise drop,
Mm.
you know, and this is like that's part of the tradition. They just generally they'll do these surprise drops, and just like they might do, then they'll do live shows. And so if you know, you know. Um, I
I feel it.
there was a quote I read. I think somebody was reviewing it, and it says, and this isn't limited to religion either. The movement, dubbed Only for You, is structured around souls of affectless, repeated urging to get someone to love, get someone who's only for you. While the group put on a back burner the discourse about inequality and life or death struggle, the songs are still imbued with importance. This is music with a message, speaking simply but with undeniable truth about the vitalness of connection.
Mm.
And 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 I felt all of that what they're describing there, like just going
Yeah,
through
it's a
the whole thing.
heck of a description. Yeah.
My recommendation is that this album is played on in your speakers, because it's church. Pretty much in church is a communal experience.
Yep.
It's a shared experience, and
Mm-hmm.
this is one of those albums where like it feels like it belongs to a collective, just
Mm-hmm.
like Salt is.
Mm-hmm.
And I would recommend checking out tracks 1 and 2, the opening tracks for it. Again, this is another one that's a continuous segue. They
Mm.
start off the album that way.
That's
So
pretty cool.
it's less of a devotion album. A devotion album is more like listening by yourself. You know what I mean? Listening on medium, regular volume, you know, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But feels more like gospel, in the sense of a shared experience there. Next up we have Wham, new album by Lil Baby.
Mm.
This one dropped just recently, actually. So unlike the others where we was looking back at some albums we might have missed, but this one dropped in just last week. Uh, Wham, WHAM, Who Hard Is Me? That's what it stands for, right? Um, it's there's been mixed reviews about this album, and personally, I don't usually be checking for Lil Baby. I grew up the trap music that I grew up on is Ti and Jeezy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
know many. I mean, maybe it's the age thing, but like I don't know if people would compare Lil Baby to Jeezy. Like what we was
Mm.
getting from Jeezy. I mean,
Mm.
that stuff there is like
Jeezy had to get him on Smash for sure.
On Smash, bro. T.I. had to get him on, like,
T.I. to get
on his time.
Yeah.
Trap music, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah,
Just like the
absolutely.
father
Yeah.
of trap music, you know what I mean? And I don't, Lil Baby was just another one of these Lil rappers kind of thing to me. So I never be checking for stuff like that. Um, but actually, the numbers don't lie. Lil
He's
Baby,
big. He's big right now.
yeah, Lil Baby's big.
Mhm.
Let's say he not only topped the initial projections, but he managed to score his fourth #1 album in the Billboard 200. He apparently still has that magic touch. He's
Yeah.
big. He's not somebody that I would be like, oh, like when we talk about big three, you know what I mean? He never came up in those conversations,
Yeah.
Lil Baby, or nothing like that, right? But he's got the numbers. Ja Rule had numbers like that, at the time. Nelly had crazy numbers, you know what I mean?
People,
Insane
you don't
numbers.
know, but Nelly had ridiculous
Breaking
numbers.
all kinds of records.
Yeah.
So, but you wouldn't list him as when you go list these great artists, the top 5 artists from his era, whatever. But like the numbers, it's not that the numbers don't lie, but the numbers tell a different story, right? And so this album has a lot of collabs. Young Thug is on here, who, by the way, is home now. You know what I mean? So looking forward. Hopefully, we get some new work from
No surprise there.
from Thug on that. That trial was wild. There was a lot of stuff out of place with that trial. So shout out, hey, he back home. Future was on here. Glorilla, 21 Savage. I'm gonna talk about Glorilla in a second, man, because she fucking did her thing.
She going crazy too.
The Atlanta scene is eating up, and they love it. They're gonna love this album. You know what I mean? You got Atlanta representation in that joint too. You know what I mean? And I hear that they even playing it in the airport.
That's crazy.
But that's how he does these numbers. That what I mean. The rest of us out here maybe not be up on game like that.
Wow.
But shout out to Lil Yachty, who did an amazing interview. Lil Yachty is on his game. He's on his mobile joint. He's expanding spreading his wings. But he interviewed Lil Baby. They on the same label. So and they actually have a relationship.
Okay.
But Lil Yachty is on the. Lil Yachty is different. You know what I mean? When you hear him, he's not on. Listen to him talk. He is an educated, thoughtful, thinking person. Like his whole. And we can tell by the music that he puts out when he wants to be experimental. Like, yeah, this dude, he's a smart guy. A really good interview. He brought out of Baby a lot of things that probably Baby didn't know he was capable of in terms of communicating and just talking and just like putting himself out there and being vulnerable and patient and like understanding and just like thinking outside the box. Lil Yachty did all that in that interview. So that's a really good interview. Watch it. It's his podcast is called, or his space on there is called Safe Space. It's called Safe Space. So check him out there. Yeah. This project is very polished. High quality production, the beats, the arrangements. I don't know his discography like that, but I'm thinking maybe I want to check out some of his old stuff. I heard a lot about the My Turn. So Billboard recently ran out a list of the biggest albums of 21st century. They be putting out these lists and causing all kinds of controversy. So Billboard just put one of these out, right? And
they did it on purpose just to rob the artists,
just to freaking get their site freaking popping again for a short time. A lot of it's just content generation. A lot of the usual suspects were there. They're on the list from different genres. When it came to hip hop, however, Lil Baby stood alone. The rapper's breakthrough album, My Turn, which was his first album, I think it was the only hip hop release to crack the top 10. This means Baby somehow has the biggest rap album of the last 2.5 decades. This is the list of the biggest albums of the 21st century. So it brings me back to the numbers story. Do numbers or just numbers telling a different story? Is this the stats versus vibes conversation all over again? Because you telling me you don't have 444 in there? Top 10, Lil Baby's My Turn made this list top 10 on this list versus any of the King's diseases.
And they're saying like this
Victory lap, Jeff.
Yeah, that's
Victory
crazy.
lap.
That's crazy when you have victory lap on it. That's it's you could even argue championships with Meek Mill's championship. I mean,
Yeah.
is there
Utopia,
Utopia?
Travis Scott, Utopia.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
And Travis Scott is a numbers generating fool.
Oh, absolutely.
Call me if you're lost.
Is this
Tyler Creator?
Yeah, is this a
Oh no,
Detroit, Big Sean's Detroit? I think his Detroit album was crazy too. Is this like a what generations are they considered? Because I'm wondering like what year? So
I mean, because they have some other albums of older rappers in there, but not top 10.
That's
because this is all of 21st century. So this is like whatever came out since like 2001.
Yeah. Oh, so they just capping then. They that's what it sounds like. They just capping.
The 21st century, man. Yeah. 2001. So you're not capping 2001. But hey, with that said though, the album is good. I like the album. I really like the album. I was like, oh snap, because like I listened to. I'm like I listen to everything, so I'm like, let me give it a listen. I went into it like that. I was like, oh, fine, let me listen. And then the first track is called "Listen Up." That should have been my clue.
He's talking to you. He was talking to you.
It said "Listen Up," and that first track, the production on the way that's how you open up an album. I like that too. I like the continuous segue thing, and I like how people opening albums and how they close albums. Not so much as how they close albums, because sometimes those be some throwaway songs, but it's dope when you get the closing right also. But like specifically how you introduce me, how you open the door into this album. Yeah. And that joint was called "Listen Up," and I listened to it actually, and it's like, oh yeah, they mean it. Listen up. You know, it's dope stuff. That track "Redbone" is the one that I would recommend off of that joint to just jump into it. Actually, is with Glorilla. And low key, Glorilla kind of eats him up on this joint. Kind of eats him up on that joint. But but it's a bop. It's a bop. Okay. It's called Redbone. You know what I mean? Okay. Check that out. So yeah, that's Lil Baby's Wham album. You know what I mean? We starting off 2025 right. If we starting off like that. Last up is AWOLNATION. This album is called The Phantom 5. It was released back in August 2024, and we hadn't had a chance to talk about it. But it's 33 minutes of fire. It's 33 minutes of this hip hop, techno, rock, almost heavy metal on some parts. If you could think of Imagine Dragon meets Gorillaz meets Linkin Park. Like,
okay, now you going OD. Now you going OD. Now come on, bro. Like,
I'm happy. I'm feeling sad. Like mixed all that.
Now you going OD.
Blend all that. That's what AWOLNATION is, man.
Side note. I grossly underestimated how talented and how big Imagine Dragons is.
Oh, you man.
They are like the way that they are regarded are like it's like akin to the Beatles. Like they are on that level.
They are on that level, but actually there's been a lot of like people that have been hating on them to try to make them out like they're
those guys
Nickelback.
Artists.
Like they're Nickelback.
Yeah.
Nickelback is like a joke of rock music, right?
Yeah.
And so you try to compare them to like Nickelback. Y'all bugging. Imagine Dragon has they have a great body of work.
They lit. They really are lit. I was it surprised me. I was like, oh, they are big.
Yeah. So imagine what you know from Imagine Dragons being fused with Gorillaz. You know what I mean?
That's why I say you going OD. Like you
But this type of music that they make, you know what I mean?
It could be their influences too. So that's why you probably hear.
Matter of fact, the new what was her name? Emily, I forgot her name. The new lead singer for Linkin Park. They featured her on one of the tracks. They got her on the track.
Okay.
On the track here. This band has had a very consistent sort of quality that it's not always perfect, but it's unique enough to keep you interested and keep you checking back for them every few years and see what they're working on next, right? If they put something out, you're gonna give it a listen, and it's always like, okay, well, this is cool, this is cool. Not maybe not, but that first album, Run, you know, is dope. I'm talking about that in a second, but I disagree with again, when we talk about Imagine Dragons and how like the story some of these people critics are saying about them with these bad reviews, AWOL Nation is another one that like sometimes gets unfairly bad
So strange.
reviews.
So strange.
It's this album is my favorite of their album since that album Run.
Okay.
I remember being on the track. The album's called Run. The title song and the lead song is called Run. And like I'm on this track getting it. It like it hypes you up. You got your headphones on, you on the track by yourself, and it just goes Run. You know what I mean? And then like the music starts blasting. It's freaking
Yeah, I know the song you're
freaking
talking
amazing
about.
experience.
Yeah.
That joint came out in 2015. One of the lyrics starting off that album Run is I am a human being capable of doing terrible things. This could be their last album. This is what they've been hinting towards, and I don't know if they officially confirmed it, but I think sources say that this is their last album. They have a track on here called Barbarian, and in this track, he's literally telling us that he's a barbarian now, and he's not scared of us, the critics, the public, the people that are looking to be to consume their product relentlessly, and asking for them to give us all of them. But he's not scared. He's a barbarian now. Before he was like, I'm just a human being. Sometimes some artists are actually telling us about their experience in their music. If we would only listen. Lil Baby said, listen up. He had to almost like grab us by the freaking collar, be like, yo, I'm trying to do something here for real, for real. There's times that maybe they do phone it in. Maybe they do phone in some of these albums, you know? Some of this product, some of this work. I feel like I see some lazy features sometimes. But what Aaron, who's the lead singer here in AWOL Nation, is saying, and some of the stuff is just like, we've gone on this journey. We was on this ride as a band and as a fan base and as a community. Like, this is coming to an end. It almost, that's what it sounds like. This is all coming to an end. And it's time for you, some of y'all to recognize that this is happening. We did the journey. We did the thing. From going to I am a human being to this track, Barbarian, it feels again like another de-evolution. Like it's a going backwards. Yeah. But this is the end of the route. We talked about Michael Kiwanuka earlier. It's like, wait, is stripping it down the new progress? Is that the new, like, when you get to another level, you can like get back down to base from a human being down to a barbarian, Jeff. This is the evolution that he went through. Wait, what do you mean? Like Benjamin Button, like, is actually the goals?
Yeah.
There's a lyric on one of these tracks where he's like, I used to be a child, but now I'm dumb. What the bruh? It's like it's
moving backwards.
Moving backwards in time, but like it's like moving backwards is almost like we're trying to get back to the basics of these things. And the basis of how we got here is the strength that we've all and the epitome of what the art has been for all this whole time. The essence of it is what it was this whole time. I don't think they could make it any more obvious for us as fans, the track that I would recommend is called "Out of Here." That's the final track of the album.
All right.
Out of Here. It sounds like a goodbye. It
Mm-hmm.
even fades out at the end.
Mm.
It even fades out at the end. And in the final few lyrics, he goes, "Don't gobble me, don't swallow me up." And the critics still ate his ass up, ate them up. Oh, yeah, just Nickelback, still eat them up. Like, yeah, y'all wasn't even listening. So bump them. Screw them. It's an amazing album. Bump the critics. Who cares what they think?
Mm.
This music has a message. It has heart. And they are okay with being like, yo, we enjoy the live shows that we did. We might still have some live shows, touring off some stuff. Enjoy the memorabilia, the albums. Go back and listen to some of our old stuff. I'm going back and replaying Run. But at the end of the day, it's time for us to leave.
Yeah.
The party's over. And that's okay too.